Hi and welcome to The Practice Gap, the podcast for closing the gap between the practice you have and the one that you want. I'm Elizabeth, a chiropractor, a business owner, coach and entrepreneur, on a mission to help you move from frustration and overwhelm to clarity, focus and joy in practice.
3, 2, 1, yeah.
Hi, Atle Torstensen from Egersund, Norway.
Hi Elizabeth, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful and I'm so happy to have you back in the studio.
Thank you.
Today's topic is going to be tips for you as an intern or just starting out in chiropractic. I know that you have had a lot of interns in your clinic.
I've had a lot, yeah.
And some of the ones that I know, they have turned out to be amazing, wonderful chiropractors.
I've been very lucky. 2 of my interns have gone on to win the Chiropractor of the Year award here in Norway, and they've all pretty much gone on to do good in practice. So I've been lucky with my interns, yeah.
And also, the interns have been lucky to be at your place because we talked a little earlier on one of the other episodes that you as a chiropractor just starting out, you are so susceptible to everyone around you.
Yeah.
So if you turn out in a great clinic where you get help, you get mentorships, you get coaching, the chance of you making it is so much bigger if you go into some place where maybe you're not seen and nobody really cares about you that much.
That can happen too. Unfortunately. You know. No, I think I've always enjoyed having young kids getting into the practice, especially if they have the right kind of values when they start, and I try to pick them a little bit. I'm a little bit lucky because I'm teaching in a lot of places, so I get to meet a lot of students when I'm around speaking at the different universities and colleges. So I've been a little bit lucky like that I kind of handpicked most of them. I've gotten a few just by coincidence because I needed somebody in my practice because maybe one of my chiropractors were pregnant, just got a baby. Like you say, they're very susceptible to input, and if you give them plant the right seeds, then something good might grow out of those seeds, you know.
When you are visiting a chiropractic school and you're teaching technique, how easy is it for you to kind of pick out those spot
those talents?
Yes.
It's very easy. It's very easy. You see it pretty much right away almost. What I look for is if they have a good 3D thinking mind, you know, they're able to visualize in 3D what they're doing. I look at the coordination, but more than anything, I look at how they practice, because I teach technique, you know, so I'll show something. I might put a video up on the PowerPoint that goes on repeat, and then they're supposed to practice on each other, and I walk around and correct them. And you see, most people will do it maybe 1, 2, 3 times, and when I pat them on the back and say that's pretty good, then they'll stop doing it. The ones that are going to become good, they keep on doing it even after you pat them on the back, and then you come back a second time and you correct some small stuff on that, and they keep practicing, and they use the time instead of doing the maneuver 2-3 times, and then they sit and talk to their friend sitting right next to them or something. So they stand out very much from the crowd, you know.
With this story, you brought me so back to Montorp, to the Gonse clinic, where we went to go to seminars. Yeah. And with all the benches down there, and some people, they were just like, keep going, is it better? How is this? And some people are just sitting there and picking their nose and talking about different things.
Exactly. And I mean, I was asked once why I went to the Gonse clinic to those seminars for over 30 times when I was at, you got to be really stupid to go there that many times, but you learn a little bit every time. And it's like a sport. You never finish learning. I still learn. I still try to learn at least, and I look at people who are really good at something, and I try to emulate that and develop and learn something new. Whether it is could be in communicating with the patient, could be patient treatment, could be examination techniques, could be correlating one issue with another issue in the body, you know. And so you kind of, one of my favorite things is actually learning, you know, and developing, and whether you're doing, it's like I've always compared chiropractic to a sport. If you want to become a really good football player, you got to practice that thing. You can't go to the team practice twice a week and then think you're going to become a superstar. You got to stand there on your own, you know, and practice with that ball hour after hour after hour, repetition after repetition after repetition, and then you build confidence and you build ability and you build skill, you know.
I once heard somewhere, I can't remember where, a chiropractor said, well, to practice means to practice, so just keep practicing.
Exactly. I mean, that's why they called it being in practice because we're practicing. We're trying to get better.
Do you have any advice for the chiropractor who graduated a couple of years ago and they realized that this stuff was so much harder than they expected and they don't get good results, they don't feel competent? Where do they start?
Unfortunately, they don't have a shortcut for them. They got to go a little bit back to scratch, start again treating this as practice and accept a little bit where they are right now, because you can fake it to some degree, but you can, like they say, you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all of the people all of the time. So you have to develop. Of course, when you're in practice, it's a two-pronged thing, because when you're in practice, you get usually people to practice on. You don't have to stand on your own with a rubber band and stuff like that, or a rolled up carpet and pretend it's a person like we used to do when we were practicing technique or one of those speeder boards. Most people don't know what it is, but it's a board where you practice your speed impulse on and we used to stand that.
It's a good tip. If you don't know what a speeder board
get one.
Yeah,
exactly. But I mean, when you're practice, like I say, you get opportunities to practice, but the guys that you're practicing on, they kind of expect a certain result because they're spending money on this stuff. I think the most important thing, if you're in practice like that, you're a little bit lost, Instead of hiding, try to make yourself available, even if it's for free, to teams, sports teams, to organizations. Go to trainings, tell the local sports club, if you guys want to, I'll come up to your arena, I'll stay there for 3-4 hours, 3 afternoons or 3 nights a week, and if you guys want to get examined or treated, I'll do it for free. I'll sponsor you guys, because then you get a lot of hands-on experience and on a fairly easy crowd, because most of them don't have any serious issues. They'll have to, of course, do a proper examination and do a good job, like we should always do when we're practicing on human beings. So you still got to be adamant about doing proper examinations and writing it down, writing a journal, so you know what you did. But you get the opportunities to put your hands on a lot of people, and that's really what you need to do to become good. You need repetitions.
So how many patients do you need to adjust before you get really good?
Yeah, I have no idea. I was thinking about that one time, how many patients I adjusted those first years. I started at the clinic at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I worked in the clinic until 7 o'clock at night, first couple of years there, and then I would go straight to the sports arena. I would usually come around home around 9:30, 10:30, and then I would get up the next day and do the same. And then the weekends I would go to the Olympic Training Center and adjust a lot more people there, and for very little money. I mean, I think I got 2,000 euros for the handball thing and 2,000 euros for the other, and I spent so many hours. It's not even. But I had fun, and for me that was a passion. For me, chiropractic kind of became like a sport where I wanted to see how good I could become if I practiced enough,
It's easy to think that everything you do when you graduate from school should be paid work.
Exactly.
And I think that's a big change from when we graduated.
Yeah.
I graduated 27 years ago, and we grew up in a mentality. It's like, you got to just, if you're lucky to have one paying patient one day, you are lucky. Yeah. The rest you have to just fill your time and do things for free.
And do it to become better. Look at it as an investment. You invest that time and you'll get it back many folds later when you have a busy practice and you can kind of work as much as you want instead of sitting around waiting for patients.
When I listen to you talk, it amazes me how much work you have done. So no, I don't think it's lucky. It's not only luck that you became this amazing chiropractor. It's quite inspiring to listen to, and I hope a lot of you young people out there go and give services for free to get good and also to do some good for the community.
Exactly. People need us, but you got to have that passion. If you look at it as work, as a chore, as something that kind of costs you a lot of energy, it's difficult. I had the passion. I did it for fun. I liked this. I still love being a chiropractor. I don't can't ever see myself retiring from chiropractic. So it just becomes a part of you. I can't explain it really why or everything, but just something resonated in me that when it came to chiropractic, I liked it and I enjoyed it, and I never felt I sacrificed anything by doing it.
So
For me, it was easy.
How did you find kind of your why, or what is your why?
That's a good question. I knew what chiropractic was when I got to Davenport, but I didn't know a hell of a lot about chiropractic. My mom went to a chiropractor, and that's how I got in contact with it. She was she was in really bad shape, and I just got my driver's license, and she couldn't drive herself, so I took her to the chiropractor, and she was limping in and came jumping out, felt like $1 million, and my plans were to become a medical doctor or orthopedic surgeon and work with people, but I saw that and I was like, that's pretty cool. So next time I went into the chiropractor with her and talked to the chiropractor a little bit about chiropractic was and how do you become a chiropractor. And then I borrowed a book at the library. I remember that was one of the first books that came out by Inger Rummenes, and I read that. You know, the idea of becoming a chiropractor kind of matured in me. I thought it sounded fun. I thought it sounded meaningful. I knew I wanted to work with the human body in some way and helping people. But then I came over to Palmer, the school we both went to in Davenport in the States. I was met by these guys that were really fired up about chiropractic, talked about chiropractic all the time, and especially a guy called Trond Skar, Norwegian chiropractor working in Hamar. He took me along to all these seminars very early on. I mean, I went to my first Gonsta seminar probably 2 weeks before I even started Palmer. I didn't know much about it at all, but it was just cool to be in this environment where everybody was so fired up, talking, oh, you gotta work and practice to become the best. And then I think it was between my first and second trimester at Palmer, I went to this, we had something called Sunday night classes at a chiropractic clinic called Trogsel, and I remember because I'd done quite a lot already. Then I'd been to probably 3-4 seminars at Mount Horeb, and I did a lot of stuff. And we were practicing on this guy who was in his final trimester, who was supposed to be like a superstar adjuster and really good, and who was the head intern at the Trogsel clinic. He was trying to adjust his neck, C7, the base of the neck of this other student who had a neck problem, and he couldn't get it to go. So I was a little bit cocky, so I said, just give it to me, I'll give it a go. And
I can see that.
and that thing moved really nicely, and I was like, fuck. Oh, can't say fuck, but I might have a little bit of a knack for this, a little talent. And I've been doing a lot of sports where I didn't have a lot of talent, but I had a good talent for training. I was very persistent, and I didn't give up very easily, and I was good at training a lot. So I got the little talent that I had in chiropractic and used the training mentality from the sports world and put in a lot of hours, and together it worked out really nice.
So you started out by talking about you wanted interns with the right values.
Yeah.
What are the values you are looking for in an intern?
Willingness to work and to serve, I'm looking for people who are inherently good people, that have empathy, pretty good communicators, like naturally they can look people in the eye and talk to them and be calm and reason with people. Because I think at the base, in a chiropractor, first and foremost, you got to be a good person. You got to care for people. If it's fake, it's like people are going to see through that. You got to have empathy. You got to care for them. Sometimes empathy is giving them a little kick in the butt, but you got to be a nice person. You got to be a good person with the right mentality of taking care of people and taking responsibility for the patient in front of you, to do everything that you possibly can to get that person well again. And that's basically what I look for first, the core values. I mean, you can get some arrogant a-hole there who's a super adjuster, but nobody's going to want to go and see that guy because he's just not a nice person. So you got to be a nice person, the people's person that attract patients to you. And then secondly, you got to have that willingness to train and to practice and do repetitions and work on yourself to try to become as good an adjuster or as good a technician as you possibly can, and basically never be satisfied. Is with yourself. It sounds like I'm never happy and just depressed all the time. But I'm never 100% happy with myself. I always want to become a little bit better, or looking for ways to become a little bit better. So in some ways, I'm always looking for that little extra that can give another dimension to what I do.
So to sum up a little bit, if I'm a new intern, I need to put in endless amount of hours. I need to be able to...
You gotta be willing to do it. And you gotta do it for yourself and not for me or to please somebody else. You gotta do it because you have that inner drive that where you want to develop your skills and your whole self, because you always develop your communication skills, the way you meet people, the way you relate to people who have problems. You develop in a lot of different areas.
So you need to be hungry for new knowledge.
Exactly.
And then you need to just practice and look for opportunities.
Yeah.
Go out, find opportunities to get more experience. If you're somewhere and have one patient a day, go out and do free work, help people.
Yeah.
And you have to have empathy so that I'm willing to care for other people and do everything in your power to help that person in front of you.
Exactly.
Does that sum it up?
That sums it up pretty good, I think.
Thank you so much, Atle, for sharing.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so lucky that you have been here. But I am actually going to have you back next week.
Ooh.
And we have another great topic.
Looking forward to it.
Can't wait to see you there.